Hi guys, welcome to the fan show. Really appreciate you coming. Please do give this video a like and press subscribe on Chris's channel. Really appreciate you joining us. Obviously, Tottenham lost at the Emirates 2-1. I'll be talking to a number of Spurs fans from around the world and discussing that game on this show. Just shortly, for any of you who didn't see the post-match reaction, Spurs worked hard. They tried hard. They weren't as good as Arsenal tonight. Arsenal, a very frustrating team to watch, to say the least. But what can you do? They're further down the line. They've got less players injured. And it was just very frustrating to watch. But Spurs had their chances. They could have been beaten far more as well. But in the end, you'd have to say Arsenal probably deserved to win. And you can see why they won. They're just a lot further down the line than Tottenham Hotspur are. But I just got so frustrated watching Arsenal play. They're so boring, and their players all the time just going to the fans, come on, come on. It's just something that's come into modern football, and just like, no, play football that will excite your fans organically and authentically. I just think really embarrassing, that stuff. And I've got a real bee in my bonnet about it. But I can see on TNT Sports now they're looking at Spurs' results and how they've had only one win in the last 9 games and only 2 draws as well. But the injuries have everything to do with that. I'm not going to talk about Ange out or anything like that at the moment. I think it's completely ridiculous. And you can see enough now that we're starting to get players back that Tottenham are going to be okay. And it's all about the cups this season anyway. Anyway, like I said, this is the fan show. So I'm going to be talking to fans. So let's see who we have. First of all, I'm going to go to one of our regulars, and it is Melvin from Malta. Melvin, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Melvin. Thanks so much for calling in. What did you think of today's game overall, mate?
I don't know. It's I usually have a bit more time to digest these things, especially the North London derby. Not easy to take. Not happy. I expected a bit more from Spurs. I think Postecoglou might have gotten the setup of the team wrong. I think we should have attacked the more in the first half. I know we had the lead. We were a bit unlucky to go, to lose the lead before half time, and especially even going 2-0 down. I think them getting the corner, which led to the goal, was lucky for them, but you need a bit of luck in football. I mean, our goal was deflected, and so you could say, you need a bit of luck. We were a bit lucky with our goal because we didn't do much. Was it a fair result, 2-1? I don't think we did enough to deserve the win. Maybe a draw I would have been happy with. The performances, I thought most of the players were, okay. Some of them were poor, but like you said, I was listening to you before. Bergvall was really, really good. Archie Gray was very good. Spence, I was really impressed with. I thought Spence was the only player that was going to do something for us, pull a goal out of nowhere or an assist. I really didn't think we had created anything else. I thought Kulusevski has been overused this season. I think dropping him in midfield in the second half was a mistake. I think we're too open, and the midfield was way too open in the second half.
Sorry, Melvin. Don't you think, though, without that change at half time, we wouldn't have had any chances in the second half? We created maybe 2 chances within 1 minute in the first half. In the second half, at least we got our foot on the ball in midfield, didn't we?
I think sometimes the England team struggles with this problem. They try to fit in the players, like all the stars, the England stars, but they don't match the position very well. I think Kulusevski needs to decide, is he a winger, is he a midfielder, and Postecoglou needs to figure that out as well. In certain games, it suits Kulusevski because he can create against a low block or something like that. But sometimes he misses the pace. We miss the pace. I think Johnson should have started, perhaps. I know it's easy to say it now after we've seen the game, but I agreed with the starting lineup when it came out. But then when the game goes by, you think maybe you could have done things differently. But it's frustrating because I'm proud of certain players. I'm happy with Bergvall's progression. an Archie Grace progression. And the keeper, gave me a couple of heart attacks during the game, and my dad was saying he needs to kick it quicker, but he was okay. Could he have done better for the goal? Perhaps. I think with Arsenal, the most frustrating thing is we make it easy for them at times. Their goals sometimes we just gift it to them, and it just feels we have to work really, really hard for us to get one goal against them. Yeah. And like you said, they're 5 years into their project. They've gotten rid of their deadwood. They've invested heavily into their team, and they're in a position to buy the £100 million player, and we're unfortunately 3 years behind in our project. So
at least,
yeah. So it's frustrating. It's one of those games where I still believe in the manager. I still believe in what we're doing. We went there today to fight, and there was fight in the team. I think Richarlison coming in the second half. He tried to get things going, but it wasn't enough. We could have gotten a point today with Pedro Porro's attempt in the last second of the game. With a bit of luck, Barnaby, and all of a sudden the narrative changes, and you think we went there, we got a point. But sometimes football goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. And today I don't think we deserved the victory or a point at times, but it's a bit harsh today.
Yeah, listen, I really appreciate how kind of you find some positivity even whilst talking about how difficult it was. I've got loads of people to talk to today, so thank you so much for being a part of the show. And of course, I'll speak to you again after what will be a very difficult, I think, Everton game at the weekend, when we're going to be up against another great David Moyes deep block.
Yeah, all the best. Nice talking to you again. I know I didn't want to talk too much about the game because I usually have a couple of hours to, especially after a North London derby. I'm quiet and alone, and I like to digest this game. But I didn't want to get angry and shouty, and because I am angry, to be honest. I am disappointed, but you have to sometimes accept that this is our level at the moment, and we just need to get these through these difficult times.
Completely agree. Thanks again, Melvin. See you later.
See you. All the best.
Bye-bye. Yeah, completely agree with what Melvin is saying. TSOM says a few of our players just aren't good enough. The window is open. We must invest. Actually, I was going to say this at the end of Melvin's chat there. I actually completely agree with that. And I hope that Daniel Levy is watching that Scott Munn and Johan Lange are watching that and realizing how we need more options going forward, and different flavor of options as well. Options who can do something a bit different, accelerator players who can beat a man from a standing start. The kind of player we had with Wilson Odobert before, unfortunately, he got injured. But next up is G from Brazil. Lovely Brazil. G, how are you, mate? And what are your thoughts on that performance today and result?
Hi, Barnaby. Thanks for the show. Gutted, of course. It's difficult because it's an emotional thing, like if you feel deflated, because it's them. Yeah. It's them. That's all it is, what else can you say? That's the worst thing. Them and Chelsea for me. But if I try and take that apart at this early stage, and just talk about how the actual game was, trying to forget that kind of side of it, which is impossible. Yeah. Arsenal were always going to win this, Like you say, they're further up. Us getting that goal, first goal, was quite amazing, actually. I couldn't contain myself, man. I was all over the place here. It was absolutely brilliant. The thing was, until they got their second goal, we'd had 2 shots each. So that was pretty cool when you think about what we've got. And I think that's what it's all about. We've still got the same amount of players, the same fatigue, the same everything else. It's never going to change, until we stop playing these three days apart or whatever it is, which isn't going to happen until the middle of February. And against the Gooners, what can you do? They've got such a defence. They make it look really like it's so simple to press. Yeah. It's like second nature to them, and it's like a thing they can do with a breeze. It's what we want. That's what we want. Yeah. Everyone can say things about hindsight, about how what should have been and whatever. But I think he wasn't. I think he was posed with the players he had. He had to play the way, and we brought on the other players. The players for the second half. It was a marked improvement because we had more going forward. As for the goals, I don't want to pick apart too many players and that. But Bisser's done it again. He's the only one I've ever. I'm not slating the guy. I think he's a great talent, but he does this, you know, and he's always got that in him to do that. And the same happened again when I said before, like before this show, Dragerson. I think he's great, remarkable to step in and do the job he's doing.
Yeah,
Ragu, but he's not helping. He's not running. He can't. He hasn't got that pace on him. You know, Johnson wasn't in that first half, and I guarantee you, any money you like, everyone went, where was Johnson? Where was Johnson? But where was Porro and where was Ragu? That's what I want to know. The same thing on the other side of the pitch. You've got Spence, who was like, for me, I mean, I think you gave him marks too low. That guy was immense. I've got to give him an 8 or a 9, easy. The spurt of pace that he put on, even towards the end of the game, was unbelievable. You know, he's fast become my favourite player beyond. You know, absolutely brilliant what he's put in. And I think it doesn't take a rocket science to work out what players at the moment do we have there that are really showing their commitment and that they have pace on them, or not even pace, that they're up for the game every time. And it's all the players there that haven't played a whole season yet. You know what I mean? Players that are out of position. Spence is one. Well, Bergvall, you know what I mean? It's absolutely brilliant. And back in the centre of defence, the same thing, you know. Whereas the rest, Kulu, if Kulu's not having a good game, you can't expect anyone around you to have a great game either. You know, if he is spent of energy, which he is, then you can't expect those others around him to be lapping up. I've got to say, there were times in front of goal where we just were static. I thought that the picture had frozen, actually,
nice.
You know, those times, because there was nobody able to run. I think they wanted to. I just don't think they were able to. I really don't, you know. We're up against a hard and fast Gooner side that has invested over the years. They've got a fantastic back four. I hate them absolutely hate them, but they are good, you know, like, you know, but can I just interrupt you quickly? Sorry, mate. Can I just interrupt you quickly? Just because I want to bring up this comment here. The comment says this: the issue arises because Ange's one-trick tactics. It's awful to watch when it doesn't work out. Can I just say something? Because there have been a few comments in here about Ange being a one-trick pony and saying that it's because of his tactics. Again, I'm sorry, but we played an absolutely defensive style of play today. We played backs to the wall. We played to hit them on the transition. We had a bit more of the ball in the second half. Sure, he brought on more attacking players, but it enabled us to keep the ball more in central midfield. And if you are one of the people in the comments saying that it's down to Ange just being an attacking manager and whatever, you're not watching the same game. You're literally not watching the same game. I'm sorry, I just had to mention that, G. I mean, I don't know if you agree. No, I absolutely agree. The Tottenham Goths are going to come out in force. They're going to be like the Gooners. They're our nemesis right now. You know, they're going to be on it. That's why it's best just to not take a look at those, because I'm sure a lot of those actually are Gooners, you know, or they haven't got a clue. You know, if you want a plan B, and if you want to do all this other stuff, then just take a look at the first half. That's what happened. We lost 2-1. That's the way it went. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we didn't have it. We hardly had a shot. We was lucky, you know. We actually got a deflection as well. It was a great goal by Sonny. He took it down really well. Yeah. You know, he hit that on the volley. It's not an easy thing to do. But and realistically, they scored an own goal, and I'd say we just weren't good enough on that side of the pitch. I'm surprised they attacked us all that time down the right side against Spence, and he was quite capable. He was turning them left, right, and centre. I'd love to have seen him and Saka today, because I think he would have dealt in one. You know, I'm surprised they didn't always attack down the other side. You know, attack Porro and Dragu,
especially once they got their goal on that side as well. Yeah,
we looked weak there, and I'm not having a go at Dragu. I think he's great. I think he's great for what he's done in that, but he's not a fast player, and we need someone else in there. You know, and who else was supposed to track back? I think it was Kulu, no? Yeah, but I never saw all this. Where's Kulu? Where's Kulu? Where's Kulu? And Angel, same old.
I know.
Now, those guys are just going to pop up every time we have a bad game. Them and Gooners are the people we don't want around us. They're not fans. I'm sorry, but they can't be.
Listen, I completely agree. And listen, thanks so much for coming on the show. And hopefully at the weekend when we play Everton away, it's going to be very difficult. We can have something to cheer about in the Premier League for the first time in a long while.
Well, we've got an extra day this time.
Yeah, but not extra than Everton.
I know that, but you know they're just gonna defend. It's gonna be hard for our guys to break.
But hopefully we can break them. I'm kind of pleased that Everton lost tonight, because that won't kind of at least the momentum hasn't started. Okay, G, thanks so much for calling in, mate. Really appreciate it.
Take care, bro.
Nice, mate, and you. Bye bye. Just before I go to the next caller, a super chat came in from Karate saying, how can you still back this manager? Look, I really appreciate your super chat coming in, mate. Really appreciate it. But for me, the truth of it is there's nobody else at the moment. There's nobody else that we could get in at this stage, even if we did want to sack Ange Postecoglou, that would take the job. I don't think we could get Frank out of Brentford or Iraola out of Bournemouth, and they're the two on the list as far as I'm concerned. So I cannot see that happening, and I think we stick with Ange. I think the problem Ange has or may have is he's got Liverpool away in the second leg of the Carabao, and then 3 or 4 days later, Aston Villa away in the FA Cup. And if he loses those games, and we're still down in 13th and 14th, in fact, maybe wherever we are at that point, I think that will be a struggle for him to keep his job at that point. But let's see what happens. Okay, next up is John from the UK. I don't know where, but John, tell me how you feel after that game.
I didn't expect us to get anything from that, to be honest with you. And I was a bit surprised when we went a goal up, but fair play. We did weather the storm. First 15 minutes, we held in there, hung in there, blocks, looked quite committed, to be fair. Scored a good goal. And then, of course, what happens, it's a goal kick and they score from the corner that's given. But us being us, rather than using that as something to fuel the fire and go at it and put some big tackles in and really grab the game, because I felt as though we were on top in midfield at times, we didn't. We allowed them to get back in and we gave them a very soft second goal again.
Yeah, John, I just sorry to interrupt there, mate, because I just want to bring up something that I meant to say with the last caller. I feel like, again, that goal, the second one, is where, because I agree with you, the first one obviously wasn't a corner. That's a bit of bad luck. We can't help that, whatever. But the second one is like, because Bentancur hit his head against the ground last week and can't play, Bissouma is in that position and loses the ball because he does, he's under pressure, but also Bissouma, like I always say, does the hard things so well, but sometimes just the easy things and gives the ball away in too easy a place. So again, that is a situation, a goal that's been scored against us because we've been hamstrung by a bit of bad luck with the injuries, right?
Yeah, you've been quite kind. I think Bissouma's played enough games to realise. To be honest with you, I'm not convinced by him. He's not the player we signed for. He's not the player that was at Brighton at all. Sometimes he can be good. The funny thing I found with him is when we played Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, he got a yellow card after about 5 minutes, but he was very good. I thought he's going to get sent off. He was very, very good. It seemed to be strange. When something like that doesn't seem to happen, it doesn't seem to click within his head, and he ends up becoming like a bit of like a dog chasing a balloon at times.
Yeah.
And he's not a holding midfield player at all. We need somebody that's going to maraud that central area, just protect.
I thought Bergwall did pretty well at it second half, to be honest.
He was on his own, and you can't fault the kid with the enthusiasm and the endeavour that he showed. Absolutely. And when eventually these players come back, Archie Gray and him have got to play in the middle. It's as simple as that. No doubt in my mind about that. I'm not surprised about today's result. It's the top 6 away where we don't get the result. We showed big glimpses, all right. We huffed and puffed maybe a little bit.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but to be fair with that, we've beaten Villa away 4-0 recently, and we beat Man City 4-0 away, and we won 3-0 away.
I know, but
it's not quite as cut and dry as that.
What is it? 1 win and 32 at the Emirates.
Yeah, I mean, what I will agree with you is that we never ever win at the Emirates.
Stamford Bridge, never win there. Anfield, never win there. No. I mean, just going into that with. I just feel that at times we can get at them. The game opened up a lot in the first half in particular, and Bissouma for a period for about 5, 6, 7 minutes was dominating that Partey and whoever, Declan Rice in there. He was really, really on top, and just go for it. Just absolutely go for it. But we don't. And then he makes that mistake, and of course we just get hit, and then the goalkeeper could have saved it, I guess. Other things as well, common sense. In the second half, okay, play over the press. Solanke's up there to hold it up. We've got the pace of Son. You brought Johnson on, which is a positive move. Play over it. But we didn't. I mean, the amount of times we were caught with silly... I mean, he's done a Cruyff turn in the box, the goalkeeper. On one of them. I did see one thing I did find funny, though, is their fans jeering when our goalkeeper handballed it in the penalty area. Goalkeepers can handball it, can't they?
Yeah. Listen, John, thanks for calling. Just before I let you go, just because I've got loads of people to talk to, Everton away at the weekend. Can we get our first win in a long time there, or is it going to be?
No,
is it going to be a Moyes masterclass?
No. We've got a bit of a hoodoo of Everton. I think they're crap. I think we'll beat them.
Aston Villa. Aston Villa went there tonight and only won 1-0. So are you that sure we're going to be able to cut open a Moyes deep block? I'm not.
They don't score though, so they'll just sit on. Well, the thing is, we've done it at home. Dice was the same thing, wasn't it? If we play like a 4-1 high and wide, yeah, I think they're there for the taking. Everton. I don't think I'm not too concerned about them. To be fair, I think we'll win that.
John, thanks for being a part of the show today. Hopefully, speak to you soon, mate. Appreciate it.
Take care. Cheers.
Okay, guys. Next up, I'm going all the way to the USA and another regular, Simon. Simon, what did you think about that one, mate?
Man, it's tough. I had a really good feeling coming in. So I was really expecting us to get something out of that game. So really disappointing, man. Really disappointing. But I just want to, I know you got a lot of people to talk to, so I just want to make it real quick. I kind of want to respond to that comment, that super chat about why are we still backing, why some of us still back Ange.
Right.
Is that, especially coming from Conte and Mourinho, I mean, it's like this guy, he is proud of this club. He wants to bring success to this club. And whether I back him or not, it's really not anything in my control, like when the club decides to let him go, they're going to let him go. So in the meantime, if he's here, he's my manager. Same thing as with all these players, they're going to have good games, they're going to have bad games, but as long as they're here, as long as they represent the badge and they give it all out there, then, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to back them. I'm going to cheer for them. Yeah, it's frustrating losing and stuff like that. But if I can see that they're out there giving their all, I think with the last game, one thing that I mentioned, it just our whole season, it's just been a lack of consistency. There's been some good moments. There's been a lot of bad moments. So all I'm hoping right now is I'm just going to keep backing my club. Hope that, we get all of our good players back, go on a good run and get some of that consistency. And other than that, all the other stuff, Anchin, Levy out, whatever, it's like, it's nothing that we can control. It's completely out of our hands. I mean, so, if you want to kind of like latch on to certain talking points, I mean, it doesn't get anywhere at all for me. So.
Well, mate, I appreciate the positivity, Simon. Can I just, before I let you go, can I ask you about Everton at the weekend? Obviously, away game. They've just changed their manager. They've lost 1-0 at home to Aston Villa tonight. Aston Villa are obviously a good team. What do you think?
I mean, I saw, because their game was 30 minutes before our game, so I saw that first 30 minutes, and I mean, I think we should get something out of it because they're really toothless in the front. I mean, they didn't pose much threat at all, but in the back they're pretty nice and solid. So
we struggle against deep teams, though, don't we? We struggle against solid deep blocks.
Yeah, so that's if I'm always going to be positive, but it's just one of those teams that may give us trouble. But hey, we did beat them 4-0 at our ground, so hopefully we can get something similar.
Okay, top man, Simon. Really appreciate you being part of the show, and hopefully speak to you after a win at Everton.
Thanks, Barnaby. Have a great one, guys.
Cheers, mate. Let's get into the comments a little bit before I bring on the next caller. Richard Blakey, thank you so much for writing in. He says, I like Ange, but if we don't get 4 points from the next 2 Premier League games, he's got to go. So what is that? Everton away. I mean, is 3 points going to come in the next one? I don't know. It's really hard. We just somehow, in my opinion, need to get to February. We need to get to February, and then we need to get through to the next round, to the final, and to the fifth round in the FA Cup and the final of the Carabao Cup. It's very stressful at the moment. Dean Gibb asked an interesting question. When was the last time we bought a world-class player in their prime? The mentality has to change. Yep. I said it on my video on my channel yesterday, actually, guys. I think Daniel Levy, for his own credibility, he needs to now find a way to buy us a player who is a surprise to the Spurs fan base, a kind of gift to his manager, kind of similar to when he bought Rafa van der Vaart for Harry Redknapp, someone in their prime, someone who can change things, someone who can get the fans off their seat, and someone who can change things on the pitch. I really do think, as much as I agree with the kind of buying young, exciting talent who can all grow together is great, and I think it's working with Bergvall and Gray, and I think Spence is starting to look good, and obviously Van der Ven is great, and I really like Kinski as well, even though a few of you in the comments are blaming him. But we also need to top that off with something great, really great. I don't know who that is. I don't know if it'll happen, but we need it big time. Okay, next up, talking to another regular, and it's Liam. Liam,
Hi.
how are you doing, mate?
Okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, a little bit depressed, obviously, but let me know your thoughts on the 2-1 defeat at the Emirates.
Disappointing, upsetting, pretty terrible all round, to be honest. Apart from Spence, Bergvall and Gray, I think they're all pretty shocking. It was, like straight out from the blocks, yeah, we sat back. I mean, anyone blaming Ange, it's not like we literally played a complete different style of football tonight. It's not Ange that is the issue at this club. 23 years under Levy and Enoch, and, one trophy. We haven't won anything in 16 years. They are the issue. Anyone that wants Ange out, who do we bring back in? No one wants to work under Levy because of the way he is. Ange played a completely different style of football tonight, and it didn't work. But at least he changed it up. I mean, it's Basuma. I say it pretty much every time I'm on here. He's not good enough for me. He's too weak in the midfield. We need that player that can hold the ball in the midfield and dominate. That's what Bergvall done quite well, I think, tonight.
Yeah.
He held the ball up. He played it forward. A couple of mistakes here and there, but he's young, he's growing, and again, it was the younger players that were the best players on that pitch tonight. Solanke, I think, was, in my opinion, pretty non-existent, but then again, he didn't get any service up front. I just don't see how our fans, or some of our fans, can blame Ange and say it's all about the tactics when he did play different tactics tonight. It was just the players on the pitch didn't deliver that.
Yeah, can I just ask you about that comment you made about no manager wants to work for Daniel Levy? Is there really any evidence to suggest that? I'm not sure about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, when we went for Ange, what was he, like, third choice in the end? We went for, was it Tuchel? Tuchel said no. There's another manager that said no. I think there is quite, like Conte said, this is the mentality at Spurs. From the top, there isn't any ambition to win. And that's what I think Ange is trying to bring into the club when he came in. He said, I want to make this club a successful team. And if we want to be successful, I truly believe we need to stick with him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And actually, I saw an interesting comment there from Genus who said this: without Ange, we'd be in the bottom 3. We won't get relegated under him. We score too many goals. Listen, I have to say, the way we came 5th last year under Ange was absolutely phenomenal. And of course, a lot of it was down to that first 10 games where we won 8 and drew 2 and had no injuries. But really, it's not a huge surprise that losing the best player potentially in the history of our club, but certainly a goal scorer who made quarter chances into good chances, and us not being able to recreate that, it's been a very difficult. And I completely agree with you. I think we're kind of, I feel fortunate in a way that actually I just think there's nowhere for Levy to go other than stick with Ange. And as a result, I actually think that's our best chance of maybe winning something this year, is because we're going to have to stick with him. Otherwise, he would have sacked him by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I still do think we can win something this year. We're in Europa League still, the FA Cup. We're 1-0 up in the semi-final of the League Cup. I fully do believe we can, because that League Cup performance was the best performance I've seen us have all season. Yeah. Like, that was generally, we were amazing in that game. And I think that is the way we can play. But it's one of those things, because it's losing to Arsenal, it's just more upsetting, and it kind of makes it worse.
It's horrible. Liam, let me ask you a difficult hypothetical. If that corner that should have been a goal kick was given as a goal kick, do you think we would have got in till half-time at 1-0 up and this could have been a different result?
I think that goal was coming. I think, maybe, but our heads did definitely drop. I think the goal was coming, but I think we could have held out till half-time. But you could see immediately afterwards, it was like because we knew we had been robbed. I mean, that referee was awful tonight. I think the heads dropped, and it kind of went to that kind of Spursy kind of thing we do quite often, where we go 1-0 up, our heads, we lose our heads a bit, we go a bit slack, and then we give away a goal.
Yeah, and just before I let you go, Liam, Everton at the weekend, are you as nervous as I am that we might be their first scalp under David Moyes?
I'm nervous going into every game. Like I said before we played Tamworth, I said I was nervous going into that.
And rightly so.
Yeah, going into any game of Spurs, it could literally be anything. They play so deep. I think there'll be a 0-0 draw. I hope we nick a 1-0, but I can't see there being any more goals in it than literally one goal.
Oh, I know. Thanks. Anyway, Liam, thanks for being part of the show today. I'll speak to you after that Everton game, I'm sure. Top man.
Thank you.
Grace and Peace disagrees and says we will beat Everton 3-0. Dean Gibbs says this: we were outplayed in the first half, shit ourselves, and couldn't have got any worse in the second half. So, some strong feelings. There are definitely strong feelings in the comments today. And you wouldn't expect anything different, I suppose. Let's go over to another regular over in the Czech Republic. Steve, mate, what did you make of it? What did you make of it from where you were watching, mate?
Well, like everyone else, it's very depressing. Just to lose to them anyway is always depressing. But I do feel we had a chance or chances, excuse me, in the game to actually get something out of it. I just thought we were very weak up front. We didn't really produce a lot. I thought the players that everyone's virtually named, the three were the best players we had on the field. No one's mentioned it, but Spence is outside of his right hand, his right foot crossed to Solanke, and so if it was anyone else defending him, I think he would have put it in. But as we've all mentioned, he's unfortunately extremely good defence they've got, and it just touched it off his toe. I'm just disappointed. I know in the second half we started to move forward, but we didn't really do a lot, and Johnson didn't do a lot. Again, I'm sorry, but I'm really disappointed with him. Richie was trying to do stuff. It just wouldn't gel. We just couldn't seem to get that final pass, and it all got a bit too intricate at the end. And
well, because Arsenal get so many bodies behind the ball that, listen, I know I'll get stick for how negative I was about Arsenal and how boring they are and stuff, but I do really feel about them that if the results don't come regularly and they don't go on a real run, then the fans will turn on Arteta because it's so one-dimensional. I find it is just all about the set pieces. But anyway, it's not about Arsenal. What about some positives going forward? I think it's Everton and Leicester next. Can we start a bit of a run?
Oh dear. Like you said yourself, I don't think it's going to be easy. They play the low block. Who's going to open them up? We should just nick it. I think it's not going to be easy.
He has to, for me, he has to play. Do you remember at the beginning of the season? So all last season, we were having troubles opening up low blocks at home and away. And then it looked like he'd sorted it at the beginning of the season when he started playing Maddison and Kulusevski together in the middle against teams who play a low block. And then after the second half performance today, where he did that as well with Bergvall, I would play them at Goodison Park, actually. And at least that way, there should be a bit of creativity in the middle of the pitch.
That's right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, we need something like that. Definitely. I was.
TSOM just said this, and I agree with it. We miss Odegaard massively. We didn't see much of him, but he offered us a profile that we just haven't had for either season with Big Ange.
That's right. Yeah, it's very extremely unfortunate we don't have him. I was hoping that Mikey Moore would get in the team and play today. Come on for Son. So I was disappointed because I know he's very, very young, but he's already had some play in the Europa League, and he did extremely well. And he might have turned them inside out a little bit. Someone they don't really know. Well, they know something about him, but you know what I mean. He's not a regular player, so he might have created some stuff for us. I thought the keeper was very unlucky with both goals.
I agree.
We know the corner shouldn't have been, but it was kind of bundled in, came off one of our defenders in the end. And the other strike, it bobbled just before his hand. He had it covered. I mean, you said yourself, you used to be a keeper. It can happen even on the first-class pitch, and it just bobbled over his hand. Otherwise, he had it covered. So. Yeah,
I agree. Really unlucky, and I think I actually think we would have lost by a lot more if we didn't have him because he was so assertive coming for stuff. Listen, Steve, thanks again for being part of the show. I will talk to you after the Everton game, I'm sure.
Barnaby.
Cheers, mate. Okay, straight in. We're going to go. I'm going to talk to Sean, who is also in the UK. Sean, thanks so much for giving us a call in. What did you make of the 2-1 defeat tonight?
Hi, Barnaby. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. There's a bit of feedback, though, so if you could turn the volume down somehow. I don't know.
Is that the telly in the background?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was the telly, mate. You're all good now.
Sorry.
How do you feel about that game?
Yeah, obviously gutted. I hate losing to them, first and foremost. But I think on reflection of obviously quality at the moment, you can see obviously that they've got just that little bit more in abundance. In saying that, I still think there was times in the second half when the game was massively open. We're just crying out for someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck and just create that. I just don't feel we've got that killer instinct at the moment where we can rely on someone to do that. Son at the moment, for me, I love him. He's a great ambassador to this club, but he's just not doing enough.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of a position.
I mean, he got a goal, but I don't really feel. To be honest, I don't feel like him or Kulusevski really. They didn't keep the ball well enough. It was bouncing off them a bit too much for me. We really needed the senior players to keep the ball tonight back to goal.
It said it all. It says it all when every single person that's come on. The best three players for us were 18, 19-year-olds. That ain't a side that's obviously striving for big things. I get they're striving for the future and bringing in obviously quality of youth, but it's for me. There's got to be a buy soon of someone with a bit of experience that really knows how to manage games in their own performance. And when we just give the ball away too cheaply at times, and a side that we create a lot of our own undoing. We lose goals through individual errors. I've never known a side like it. Too many. It's far too many. So like you, I'm a little bit fearful going forward. I won't lie. At the moment, I'm usually very optimistic. I have constant arguments with my family. I sort of stick up for Spurs to the ends. But I'm looking at the weekend's game, like you say. David Moyes, new manager again. It's the new manager bounce. I know they lost tonight, but it's got to change for them at some point. And I just don't see at the moment how we're going to sort of cut teams open. We do miss that Odegaard massively. He come in at the right time and he looked like he was going to be a big player that was able to do something different.
Yeah.
And outside of it, I'm not Daniel Levy's biggest fan, like a lot of fans out there. He's obviously very good at what he does with the financial side, but they've got to start making a few bigger buyers and not keep relying on these 15 to 20 million gems that they're open for. Don't get me wrong, Kinksky, I love him. I think he's going to be great, and I'm glad he's come in because he's going to give that competition that I think Vicario fully needs. But I just wish they would say, like a lot of people have said, and you've said, we need to go out and really get a higher profile player to sort of make other teams sort of like sit back and look and think, oh wow, that's a good signing.
I agree, Sean. I do wonder whether Eze is still on our radar, but probably that we can't get him out of Palace this January, and maybe we'll wait till the summer.
Yeah, January is always hard. I get that. It's a frustrating month. It's everything's got to be done very early doors, but I'm sure they must have been looking at profiles and they must have been looking at players. Like there's enough of them there to be doing their jobs to think that obviously they want to get someone in. Obviously there was this Kolo Muani that we've obviously missed out on now. I don't really know a hell of a lot about him, but from what people were saying, that he was a player that suited, that he could play along the front three. I just.
So is Juventus though, and why wouldn't you? They're in the Champions League, and
exactly that's the point, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Listen, Sean, really appreciate you calling in. Thanks for being a part of the show, and I'll speak to you maybe after the Everton game.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, Barnaby.
Top man. Bye bye. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left, so I am going to talk to Gary. Gary, thanks for being so patient, mate. Tell me how you're feeling after that
very
almost inevitable 2-1 defeat at the Emirates.
Disappointing, Barnaby, wasn't it? I thought it was a poor game, to be honest with you. I think the North London derby recently, I remember going back, you know, over the years, it was always sort of blood and guts and thunder. That just seems to have gone out of it. And once again, you know, in my opinion, you know, we're just overplaying at the back. You know, I just don't get it. We're passing to players that have got 2 or 3 players around them, and we're just inviting the pressure, absolutely inviting it. It's so frustrating. I think one of your previous callers said, look, just play over the press. You know, we can't keep playing like that. It's really.
Gary, I will just say, just because I know what you're saying, and a lot of people agree and stuff, but also you do remember, you do know there was a lot of times where we were playing long balls too, and they were just,
of course,
and Saliba and Gabriel just eating them up. So we had to try different things. And what I would say is, once he made the subs in the second half, there were far more occasions where we were keeping it midfield and also doing some of those moves down the sides where Johnson would play a first time ball around the corner. So there was a bit of positivity there as well, but I do also understand exactly what you're saying. There were too many balls into players who were being pressed by 3 or 4 Arsenal players. Yeah,
being very tightly marked. And I just think sometimes we've just got to, you know, we've got to move, make more space rather than just sort of, it all seems to be condensed into the middle at times. And then when we go wide, we like Kaczynski will play the ball out wide, and there's no one there. Instantly we're going back to him, and then we're coming across the other way. And you saw it loads of times tonight where Archie Gray was sort of right on the left hand side, and he's passing it to Spence. Spencer's got 2 or 3 coming to him, so he's playing it back to Gray, and all of a sudden he's blocked in. It's just, I mean, you look at
it's a huge lack of balance, isn't it, Gary, as well? Because Archie Gray's right-footed and Jed Spencer's right-footed, and they're both doing unbelievably well considering how little balance there is. But we all know that the moment we have Mickey van der Ven in that left centre-back spot, because he's so quick, he's really good at opening that pass out quickly with his left foot because he's got the balance of that. But also, if they block that off, then he's not afraid to drive narrow. And then you have Udogie outside him, who's also left-footed. So listen, we're suffering not just because of the players and their abilities, but also the balance, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the fundamental differences I noticed between the 2 teams was the playing out from the back. When they got the ball at the back, they were playing it around the back, and they just looked like they had all the time in the world. They made it look so easy, and I hate to say that, I really do. Yet when we got the ball at the back, it was almost like it became a bit of a hot potato. Very, very frustrating. I hate to lose to them. I hate to lose anyway, but to them in particular, it's just like, it's just annoying.
Yeah, Gary, listen, I completely agree. And look, thanks so much for being part of the show tonight. Let's talk again, hopefully after a next game soon. Hopefully Everton, where we actually managed to win one.
Yeah, hopefully we can be a bit more positive, Barnaby.
Top man. Thanks a lot, Gary.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, if you would like to appear on a future episode, please do email tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. It's very important to us that this channel gives everyone a voice, particularly from those all around the world. So from wherever you are from, please do get in touch. And